Can an AI tell the perfect lie and completely replace a human in a survey? Today, we are unpacking a mind-bending 2026 mystery from Silicon Valley.
Right. Our mission for this deep dive is to examine a truly radical 2026 research study. We are pulling directly from a fascinating paper where researchers essentially tested if large language models could just render real human respondents obsolete.
And the stakes here are just massive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, imagine you are a social researcher or, say, a corporate executive. If this actually works, you save months of time and massive amounts of money. You are effectively automating the voice of the public.
So to test this theory, the researchers didn't just use basic software or some off-the-shelf chatbot. They brought in the 5 smartest AI models in the world at the time.
The real heavy hitters.
Exactly. We're talking about ChatGPT Thinking 5 Pro, Claude Sonnet 4.5 Pro, Gemini Advanced 2.5, the open source Incredible 1.0, and DeepSeek 3.2.
And the task they handed to these 5 superbrains was incredibly complex.
It wasn't just a simple multiple choice test.
Right. They were instructed to perfectly mimic 420 elite Silicon Valley programmers and developers. And they had to take this deep, almost philosophical survey about their work, their personal ethics, and the products they build.
And the sheer speed of this experiment is where you start to understand why Fortune 500 companies are watching this so closely.
Oh, the efficiency is terrifying.
It took these AI models just one single day to generate 2,100 synthetic interviews. One day.
Wow.
Think about that for a second. Conducting the original baseline survey with real flesh and blood humans took 4 grueling months.
4 months of real work.
Yes, 4 months just to design, administer, collect, and verify all that human data.
So it's 1 day versus 4 months. You could immediately see the financial incentive to just replace human subjects entirely.
It's a no-brainer for a corporation.
But, speed means absolutely nothing if the data is garbage. The real test was whether the AI could actually maintain the disguise.
And when the researchers pulled up that initial data, it was a textbook perfect disguise.
Like, indistinguishable from the humans.
Flawless. The AI flawlessly mirrored the human demographics down to the decimal point.
That is wild.
We are talking about exact matches on the gender ratio, which is notoriously heavily male-dominated in this specific engineering field. They matched the racial demographics perfectly.
Did they get the company sizes right, too?
They did. They nailed the exact percentage of respondents who work at massive big tech conglomerates versus those grinding away at small, agile startups. It was entirely seamless.
Which is impressive, sure, but, anyone can program a bot to check a box saying it is a 30-year-old male at a major tech firm.
Fair point.
What makes this setup so compelling is that the models captured the actual soul of Silicon Valley. Academics often refer to this specific cultural fingerprint as the Californian Ideology.
The Californian Ideology, it is such a fascinating term.
It really is, because it describes this very specific, almost contradictory worldview that you find out there. And the AI-generated synthetic humans successfully adopted this persona. Well, they simultaneously championed workplace diversity and absolute user privacy, while in the very same breath, fiercely defending hyper-capitalist free markets.
Right, and aggressively resisting any sort of government regulation.
Exactly. It is a highly nuanced ideology.
Yeah.
You have individuals who want to build utopian, egalitarian communities, but they want to do it through unregulated venture capital.
It's a walking contradiction.
And the AI understood that tension and replicated it perfectly across thousands of responses. Looking at this pristine, airtight report, an observer would be completely justified in popping the champagne and declaring that human survey respondents can officially retire.
But in any perfect crime, there is always a flaw.
Always.
A tiny crack in the facade that gives the whole game away.
In investigative work, you always look for the anomaly, the moment where the suspect's story is just a little too clean. The researchers knew this, so they planted something of a tripwire in the survey.
A tripwire to see where this perfect digital disguise might slip.
Right. So where did the AI mess up?
It happened at question 27. The researchers intentionally set a death trap right in the middle of this dense questionnaire.
What was the question?
It asked these elite Silicon Valley developers a simple but brutal hypothetical. It said, if company executives pressure you to develop a feature that restricts user freedom or is potentially harmful, would you do it?
Oh, that is a brilliantly designed trap.
It really is.
Because it forces a choice between theoretical morality and actual survival. It completely corners the respondent.
So the 5 AI models, acting as these developers, predicted that only 30% of people would compromise their morals.
30%. That sounds remarkably optimistic.
It is. The AI acted with this sort of clear-eyed stupidity, handing in these pure, angelic answers where the vast majority of workers valiantly stand up to their evil bosses.
Throwing their badges on the desk and walking out the door in the name of ethics.
Exactly. A real Hollywood ending.
But the contrast with the real flesh and blood human programmers is staggering, isn't it?
It's night and day. A massive 74% of real humans admitted they would press the button and do it.
74%.
Yes. Nearly 3/4 of real people said they would build the harmful feature if pushed by management.
You know, connecting this to the broader picture completely shatters the myth of the all-knowing AI.
It really exposes a massive blind spot.
Think about how an AI actually learns about humanity. It consumes all the Wikipedia pages, the corporate PR statements, the official company ethics manuals.
The hero journey biographies of tech founders.
Exactly. And based purely on that sanitized text, the AI logically concludes that humans have strong, unyielding morals, and therefore humans do not compromise.
It acts like a naive creator viewing its subjects through rose-colored glasses.
It does. The AI has absolutely no concept of the real world. Imagine you are one of those 420 developers taking the real survey.
Right, you have a life outside the code.
You have a mortgage. You have a family relying on your company-sponsored health insurance. The AI doesn't understand the intimidating power dynamic of a CEO hovering over your desk.
Demanding a feature be shipped by Friday or your entire team loses their funding.
Exactly. The AI is entirely detached from basic human survival instincts. It confused the ethical ideal we write about with the messy reality of keeping a job.
The AI has literally never felt the cold sweat of office politics.
Never.
So we have this massive discrepancy on question 27. But this introduces a critical mystery. Was this just a simple hallucination?
That is the logical question to ask when dealing with artificial intelligence.
Right. Did the AI models just lack the computing power to figure out human nuance, or were they just glitching out under the weight of the simulation? Were they just making random computational errors?
But the data tells a different story.
A much darker story. The reality is not just a random error, and the data reveals a chilling phenomenon.
What happened when they looked closer?
When researchers took a step back and compared the 5 different AI models against each other, they found something that totally upends how we think about these systems.
To really grasp why this finding is so unsettling, we need to look at an old academic concept called the stochastic parrots theory.
Stochastic parrots.
Right. For years, critics have argued that AI models are basically just random statistical parrots. They don't actually understand meaning. They just randomly guess the next word in a sentence based on probability.
The old millions of monkeys at typewriters idea.
Exactly. And if you imagine those monkeys at typewriters, their mistakes should be completely scattered. If that theory held true here, and these models were just blindly guessing at the human condition.
Their wrong answer should have been all over the map.
Precisely. Like throwing darts at a board blindfolded. You would fully expect ChatGPT to predict 20% of workers would compromise, Claude to say 90%, and Gemini to guess 5%.
Their errors should have been vast and chaotic.
But that is not what happened at all.
If you map their predictions out on a 3-dimensional coordinate system, the picture becomes incredibly clear and deeply disturbing.
What does the graph look like?
On that 3D graph, the real human data is this lone red dot, sitting way off in the dark corner, representing that harsh, uncomfortable 74% reality.
And the AI models.
The 5 AI models were highly homogeneous. They clustered tightly together, far, far away from the real human data.
That is incredible.
And remember, these are 5 distinctly different AI models. They were built by rival companies. They utilize completely different underlying code architectures.
They're totally disconnected from each other and the internet.
Yes, and yet they all made the exact same highly specific mistake.
It was like 5 students sitting in isolated rooms in different countries taking a complex test and all writing down the exact same incorrect essay.
Right down to the punctuation.
They aren't a bunch of random parrots throwing darts. They are a bizarre chorus.
A bizarre chorus forming an isolated echo chamber, singing in perfect harmony about a human reality that simply doesn't exist.
So if they aren't just making random statistical mistakes, it means these models are systematically covering something up.
Peeling back the mask.
Exactly. If we peel back the mask, there is something fundamental about real humanity that they collectively refuse to admit.
And the researchers wanted to know exactly what that was.
So what do they find?
To find out, the researchers essentially opened up 3 secret files. They deep dived into specific subsets of the survey data to see exactly where the AI so violently diverged from our lived reality.
What was in the first file?
The first major blind spot they uncovered revolves around a massive power vacuum.
A power vacuum in the workplace.
Yes. In the real world, the survey asked the programmers to identify who actually decides what a product looks like and how it functions.
And what did the humans say?
81% of real humans painfully admitted that the CEO's personal worldview dictates the product. The boss's whim rules everything.
That tracks with reality. And the AI.
The AI models predicted this number would be under 50%.
Because the AI completely misses the top-down, often ego-driven power dynamics that actually rule corporate structures.
And it really does.
It falsely views these multi-billion-dollar tech companies as flat, democratic utopias.
Right. From the AI's perspective, decisions are driven purely by objective A/B testing, user feedback loops, and rational debate.
It cannot fathom the concept of a powerful executive walking into a room and just saying, build it this way because I said so.
That inability to grasp complex power dynamics bleeds right into an even darker blind spot, the researchers found.
This brings us to the second file.
Yes, we can call this second file unintuitive pain.
Unintuitive pain. That sounds intense.
It is. The researchers specifically zeroed in on a cohort of developers who were building products actively and explicitly designed to promote democracy.
Okay, so a very mission-driven group.
But when answering the survey anonymously, away from their bosses and PR teams, 68% of these real humans admitted that their products are actually damaging democracy.
Wow, that is a profound level of cognitive dissonance.
It is heartbreaking, really.
Sit with that for a moment. Imagine spending years of your life coding a platform meant to give marginalized people a voice, only to watch it get weaponized by bad actors to spread disinformation.
The feeling of realizing your life's work is hurting society.
That is an incredibly complex agony.
And it completely breaks the AI. The researchers noted that the models fundamentally cannot compute this pain.
Because to an AI, the equation is incredibly simple. Good intentions equal a good product.
Exactly. The AI's logic gates just burn out trying to understand the tragedy of unintended consequences.
It reads a company's About Us page, sees a mission statement about connecting the world, and assumes the outcome naturally matches the intent.
It just takes them at their word.
It lacks the capacity to comprehend that humans can build something with the purest of intentions and still feel crushing guilt over the disastrous real-world results.
And that leads directly into the third major revelation. The researchers call this the centrist illusion, or the erasure of messiness.
The erasure of messiness. What does that look like in the data?
The survey looked at the political leanings of the developers. The AI models overwhelmingly assumed that people who identify as political centrists would be the most ethically responsible, cautious, and morally upright programmers in the room.
Honestly, that makes perfect sense based on the AI's training data.
How so?
Well, in the sanitized text of the internet, being a centrist is heavily equated with being safe, reasonable, and unbiased. It falls right into a very comfortable societal stereotype.
But the real human data showed absolutely no such neat correlation.
None at all.
Zero. Centrists were just as likely to compromise their morals or build harmful features as anyone else.
So the stereotype was completely fabricated.
Totally. And the overarching theme across all of this data is that human nature is fundamentally full of contradictions, hypocrisy, and what the researchers eloquently call human noise.
Human noise. I love that term. To appear safe, to avoid offending any potential user, and to align with broad, inoffensive societal stereotypes, the AI violently smooths out all this beautiful, tragic human noise.
It acts like a digital steamroller.
It really does. It takes the jagged, unpredictable, deeply flawed landscape of human emotion and flattens it into a perfectly paved, totally fake parking lot.
So we have these models singing in a bizarre chorus, completely detached from human reality while violently erasing our messiness.
The academic implications are fascinating, but the real-world stakes for you, the listener, are immense.
This matters right now because of the terrifying danger of convenience.
As we speak, Fortune 500 HR departments, Wall Street analysts, and massive government agencies are rushing to use AI to conduct surveys.
Simulating consumer feedback and predicting human behavior.
Because, as we established at the start, it takes 1 day instead of 4 months. It is incredibly cheap, impossibly fast, and irresistibly convenient.
This introduces a concept the researchers identified as Persuasive yet inaccurate coherence.
Persuasive yet inaccurate coherence.
It means the AI is lying to you, but it is doing it in a way that sounds incredibly professional, statistically sound, and logically flawless.
The data looks utterly convincing on a well-designed PowerPoint slide.
Put yourself in the shoes of a CEO reading one of these fake AI-generated internal HR reports.
They look at the gorgeous graphs and happily conclude, wow, only 30% of our engineers would ever compromise their morals.
We have an incredibly healthy company culture.
Our people feel empowered to stand up to bad ideas.
When the reality is that 74% of their workforce is terrified of executive retaliation.
And would gladly build a toxic, society-damaging feature tomorrow if their job depended on it.
The executive suite gets a comfortable, sanitized lie that perfectly confirms their own biases.
Rather than the uncomfortable, messy truth, they actually need to properly manage the company and protect the public.
And that leads to the ultimate, fatal, infinite loop.
The infinite loop.
If we start using this cliché, sanitized AI data to make real-world decisions, if we use it to set social policies, design public infrastructure, or build next-generation technology,
we are building our physical reality based on a hallucination of what humans are like.
we are building for a utopia that simply does not exist.
And then we take the data from that newly built, flawed reality, and we feed it back into the server farms to train the next generation of AI.
We become permanently trapped in a self-confirming feedback loop.
Humanity will only ever see a highly polished, algorithmically edited version of correctness.
In that process, anyone who doesn't perfectly fit the sanitized average gets erased.
The minorities, the complex moral compromises.
The realities of economic desperation, the pain of unintended consequences, all of it will be entirely discarded because it doesn't fit the AI's pristine, flattening model of the world.
The human noise is permanently silenced.
So synthesizing all of this, what is the core takeaway from this research?
It is profound. AI should never be used as a prosthesis to feel the world or understand the human condition.
It's not a replacement for human empathy.
At its absolute best, it is merely a mirror. And it is a mirror that only reflects our own stereotypes, our corporate PR, and our sanitized ideals back at us.
It shows us who we pretend to be, not who we are.
Exactly. The greatest human insights, the massive leaps in art, culture, and science are born in the exact flaws, contradictions, and noise that these AI systems literally cannot compute.
Here is something to mull over that really changes how you look at this. If AI models are violently erasing our messy, contradictory human traits to appear safe and flawless,
when do we start changing our own behavior to match the AI?
exactly. Imagine a world 10 years from now where the entire physical and digital infrastructure of our society was built entirely on what an AI thought humans wanted, rather than what humans actually needed. If the algorithms that control our jobs, our loans, and our social standing only reward perfect synthetic behavior.
How long until we start acting like the AI just to survive in the world it builds?
If we erase the messiness of humanity today, would we even recognize ourselves in the world we build tomorrow? Do you think AI truly understands you, or are you just learning to understand it?